What's going on? It's your boy Bowie here, back at it with another Sub-Zero video, here to talk about one of Sub-Zero's most underutilized and downplayed aspects of his game, his corner game. So, over the course of all these buffs that Sub-Zero has received over the lifespan of MK1, Sub-Zero's corner game has developed quite nicely from what it was, because at first Sub-Zero was pretty much beholden to however his cameo played, but now he has, you know, a universal game plan that works no matter what his cameo is, and then the cameo that he chooses will give him, you know, extra emphasis on one aspect or another aspect of his overall game plan. And it will, mostly any cameo will enhance what he does in the corner, which is the subject of this video. So, in general, when you begin your match, you're not going to begin in the corner, you'll begin right here. But fortunately for us, Sub-Zero has the means to carry the opponent directly to the corner from virtually anything that he does. So, just about any combo he does will allow him to go right to the corner. See that? That was meterless. 29% right to the corner. Even something like this is not all the way in the corner, but one more hit pretty much carries them right into the corner. If you use a cameo, they will be in the corner. Someone like Janet Cage has insane corner carry. So, yeah. So, meterlessly getting your opponent to the corner is easy. And if you have meter, it's even easier still, because you can do a basic B&B like that and pretty much carry them directly to the corner. You can even do something that I advise against doing, which is using an ice clone in your combo, and you can eke out more damage, right? Notice I didn't even use a cameo for this. But if I decided to use a cameo, that pretty much puts them right in the corner, even though I dropped that. So, yeah, that slide alone carried them right to the corner. And the benefit of not using your ice clone in your combos is that when you do put them in the corner, you can set up an ice clone immediately after, like that. You see what I'm saying? Of course they're gonna block after you do your combo, but you get your straight hit in the neutral, you do your corner combo, whatever it may be, with or without cameo, and you carry them to the corner and set up clone right after. And right there, you've set up your corner game. You see what I'm saying? And let's not get it twisted. Sub-Zero now does quite a bit of damage before even doing the combo game or the corner game. So with a cameo like Janet, I can even break my own rule. Watch this. So notice I'm using clone in the combo, right? I'm gonna do 433 and then set up clone right after. You see that? So imagine 43% into corner carry and then a clone setup directly after. That's what you want. That is ideal. So if you're going to play this character, That's what you need to be doing. Now, why am I making such a big deal of this? Because when you're doing your combo with Sub-Zero, chances are you're going to end with a slide, right? This slide is plus 15, which perfectly sets you up to do your 15 frame mid and cancel into clone. So you have a clone that's right in the opponent's face after a block string, right? Now, one thing about this, forward 1-2 clone on block does not work on everybody. And what I mean by that is there are certain characters where if you do forward 1-2 clone on block, what they can do is they can literally crouch block and they'll break the clone right in front of you. As soon as you pop it out, they can break it. And they'll have frame advantage, you know? So characters like Smoke, characters like Ermac, characters like Homelander and T-1000, you know, Quan Chi, Rain, bunch of characters. They'll wait for you to do this here, and they'll crouch block it, and they'll break the clone right in front of your face. Right? So you will need to know which characters you can use forward 1-2 clone on and which ones you can't. For instance, I know for a fact that I can use forward 1-2 clone on Johnny Cage. That's one of the things that makes this matchup very nice for us, because if we get him in the corner, we can do that to him, and he has to try to, you know, maneuver his way around that clone. You feel me? Now, if you are fighting a character that you cannot use forward 1-2 clone on, here are some alternatives. You can do, let me have the opponent hold. You can do forward 1 clone, which puts the clone slightly further back than forward 1-2. Notice this clone is slightly closer than that one is. You can also do 2-1 clone, which is even further back than forward 1 clone is. And if all else fails, you can always do back 3 clone. Back 3 clone works on every character in the game. You can always do back 3 clone, and no character will be able to use, you know, crouch blocking to break out of that. 3 characters will crouch out of 2-1 clone, which includes Quan Chi, Rain, and Conan. So if you do 2-1 clone on them, they can crouch block and break it. Everyone else gets trapped by it though. Okay? And then forward 1 clone, I think there's like 10 characters, 8 or 10 characters that get out of this. So, yeah, no. But make sure you're aware of which clone cancels you can do on which characters and which ones you can't. Okay? Now, if you are fortunate to fight a character that lets you do forward 1-2 clone on block, it is not good for them. You know why? Because you can throw them directly into the clone, and it's not even hard. And you get 17% damage, and you can loot this. So you can do your triple back 2, and you can set it all up again. You can even walk up and throw it, like you have that much time. That was one of the benefits of the clone being buffed to 100 frames. You see what I'm saying? I always dash. And then I do that. Now, here's what you need to know about this situation. For one, you always do forward clone, or forward throw. Forward throw pulls the opponent into the ice clone. So, let me demonstrate this. So, notice I did stand 2 clone. Notice how forward 2, or forward throw, pulled them into the clone, right? If I then do back throw, it goes away. Because back throw does not pull the opponent forward. It keeps them stationary. So you don't want to do back throw. You want to do forward throw. Okay? So if you're going to try to pull the opponent into the clone, you forward throw them into it. Now, this is untechable. The opponent cannot tech out of this because by the time they get to try and attack it, they're thrown into the clone anyway. I can even demonstrate that right here. Let's look at the throw escape. You see how that shit is on, right? Notice, tech. That's a back escape, toward escape. Watch this. Tech. Oh, no tech. See that? So now if you back throw them, let me see. What happens if I back throw them? Oh no. Now if you're really close, even a back throw will catch them. But that's not necessary because forward throw is all you need. Okay? So you'll notice that this is an untechable situation. So that's why this is powerful. That's why this is good. Because you can walk up and get 17% damage off of a regular ass throw. And then set it right back up again. And then if you have your cameo, of course, your cameo will allow you to do even more damage. If I drop that combo, sorry. So, because I have Janet, she will let me do 20%, and then I can set it up right after. You see? So I've established that throwing the opponent into clone is really good. But that's not all we can do. When the opponent decides that you're going to try to throw them, they're going to try to counter you by ducking under it, right? They're going to duck your throw attempt. Great. That's fantastic. They can't duck that low. And when they duck under that, they get frozen. And then you can do it again. So you create a strike throw situation from the clone, from forward 1-2 clone, and block.
Are you hibernating?
You see that? Now, you have to be mindful of those strings because you get the low from the low comes from forward 1-2. You also get it from forward 1 clone, and then you also get it from 2-1 clone. But that depends on the character because certain characters' hitboxes are bigger than others. Some characters, when you do 2-1 clone on them and then go for the low, they don't get frozen. Okay, so those larger hitbox characters, like an Ermac, like a Smoke, I suspect that if you do this to them, 2-1 clone, and then do back 3 to freeze them, they probably don't get frozen. So, but then if you do back 3 clone, they don't get frozen. You see that? The load will not freeze off of back 3. Okay? So, if the clone is further back, as in a back 3, you can do back 3 slide. And that will continue your combo right then and right there. Okay? Now, notice, because we have 2 different slides, we actually can control what reaction we want. So if you do back 3 into the reversal slide, you'll have to jump over and do this combo right here.
Are you hibernating?
This slide's a little bit faster in terms of like freezing the opponent. Because sometimes when you do this slide, it'll disappear before you can get them airborne. like that. You know what I'm saying? Whereas with this, it's a little bit faster. But, so just be mindful of that. But you want to do, in general, I would say the forward slide is better because you get more damage. Yeah. And again, all this Korner clone offense is loopable. So you can just do reps of this shit back to back to back to back to back. And the opponent's gonna have to try to figure out, how do I deal with this clone? What do I do? You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the benefits of the clone buffs that we got so long ago. You know what I'm saying? Our corner game has been greatly enhanced. Now, let me say this here. Two things. One thing is, if the opponent is crouching, if they crouch block, the clone is further back than it is if they were not crouching. So if they're stand blocking, I want you to notice how close the clone is there. But then when they're ducking, notice how much further the clone is. See that? So notice I'm even able to use the overhead. But notice I'm not able to use the forward slide virtually at all. I have to do the fast slide. You see that? But of course, as I told you, forward throw still works just as well as it always did. And it's every bit as loopable as it always was. You see that? So, yeah, that's one of the things I wanted to mention. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention was that in addition to using regular clone, this is where EX clone really comes into play. I have not seen enough people use EX clone with Sub-Zero. As a matter of fact, I don't think I've seen anyone use EX clone when playing this character. They forget this move exists. They'll do this clone real quick. But this one right here, I feel like I'm the only one that uses this. And that's a shame because this move is so good. It lasts for 4 seconds. And you have so much time to really bully the opponent. And you have multiple attempts to get them frozen by the clone. Ah, that reminds me of the other thing I wanted to tell y'all. The other thing. Because what happens is you can just do an ice punch too. That's another option. So if you got people that are trying to duck or trying to jump, it's like, bitch, don't jump. You'll get frozen. And if they're in the air, they'll be frozen in the air. You can do your combo and loop your shit. If they're on the ground and there's someone like trying to poke, like let's say it's Rain or Quan, you can back up and do this to them. But still freeze them for trying to poke out of your stuff. I ain't even try that. That's a thing too. You know what I'm saying? And get your combo going. And that brings me to a tertiary thing. You don't have to try to refreeze the opponent into the clone. No. Sometimes putting up a clone is all about setting up to get that mid. You see what I'm saying? Because sometimes you'll deal with an opponent that correctly figures out how to deal with this right here, but you get a free attempt at offense with this shit. So the clone gives you a 50-50 attempt if you want to go for that, which I don't recommend. but it also gives you a free attempt at the mid. You know? And this is useful because if the opponent, let's say they're the type that likes to poke, if they try to poke out of this, they'll be frozen immediately, you know. And I've seen plenty of opponents that just get themselves frozen just because they be mashing. So let me try to demonstrate that. Reversal recording. And then let me pick the recording. Yeah, see? That situation has happened mad times in matches. See that? People be getting, you know what I'm saying? They be mashing on you. And the mashing gets so bad that sometimes you can even punish people for trying to punish you. As a matter of fact, let me try that. So let's say, okay, so we tried to do the knee, right? So he's gonna reversal knee. Oh, he tried to punish me. No sir, no sir. That's what makes this corner stuff so dangerous, because it disrupts the opponent's natural instincts. Because a lot of times people will try to punish with a natural thing that they would punish with. No, you can't do that. You know. Now, of course, this is only possible off of a really close clone. See? If you'd have did a far clone and try to do that, oh shit, that still got popped. But let's see if they would have tried to do, okay. See, he can jab me, you know. But like, off of something like this, oh, he still can't, oh, he can still jab, okay. Because of that hitbox is different. But yeah, so notice that certain punishes are not available to opponents if you place your clone in the right spot. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm just trying to tell you, like, I'm just trying to tell you that Sub-Zero has a very interesting and powerful clone game, especially when you use EX clone. Because the really cool thing about EX clone is because it lasts for 4 seconds, you have options available to you that weren't available before. Hold on. Oh yeah. So like, let's say you got an opponent that's ducking your throw. Oh, you want a mid? Oh, you can use the mid, cancel in the slide, and get a nice little 350 piece. Nah. And it loops. You see? Additionally, you can even use back throw to get a dominant combo. Imagine that. So you do a clone, EX clone that is, you can back throw them right into it and get 27%. With Janet, that goes to 30%. And right afterwards, you can set up a clone. Like literally right after this. Because of how long this throw animation is and how long the combo follow-up is, your clone counter is reset and you can go right back into the shit. Yeah. So, Very, 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 very potent shit. That right there will win you a lot of games just by implementing that shit. But of course, a savvy person is going to be watching this video and thinking, who's going to just let me do this? As soon as I do a clone, they're just going to armor right out, right? Or maybe if they don't armor right out, they're going to reversal shadow kick. So I'm going to do my combo with clone. I do my block clone, bam, they're going to break right out. What do I do against that, right? Well, that's where I say to you, you need to use a combo setup. So, Sub-Zero has two primary combo setups. And what these setups are designed to do is they're designed to punish the opponent for trying to use armor to escape the corner. So one such setup is what I like to call the one-play train, which is any combo that ends in Ice Punch instead. So notice most of my combos end in slide. That's the easiest thing to end your combo with. But if you do a combo like this that ends in Ice Punch, you are actually plus 35 on hit, which allows you to armor break someone that's trying to armor out of the corner. If you read that the opponent is going to try to wake up with armor, you can jump, kick, slide, and that will freeze them right in their tracks. So do your combo, bruh. And you can even do this combo instead. And you ain't gotta be perfect with it. Notice I was kind of late with the shit, but it still worked. Do you do that? Oh, fuck that. That was too late. And there you go. Here you have your combo, and they just ate a bunch of damage for their trouble. Now, the only issue with this train is that if the opponent, if you read that they're gonna wake up with armor and then they don't do it, you might get up blocked for your trouble, or you might do a clone that's right in front of their face and then they can break out of it. Cage probably wouldn't be able to break out of it, but other larger characters will be able to crouch block and break the clone. So that sucks sometimes, you know. But for something that just works no matter what they decide to do, I recommend the universal clone setup, which is when you use the 1-1-2 string in the air. You just hold block right after, and if the opponent decides, I'm gonna wake up with some armor, nah, ain't no armor for you, sir. Ain't no armor for you at all. You just ate mad damage for your trouble. You see that? So the reason why the universal clone setup works so well is because when you do 1-1-2 in the air, you are up to plus 43 on block, or not on block, on hit, my bad. So you range anywhere from plus 41 to plus 43. Well, if you're right underneath, you got plus 45. That's the first time I got that. But you don't want to be right up underneath that. That's more ideal, even though I got 41. Yeah. So I've gotten 41, 42, 43. Well, you saw me get 45 before. So, yeah, see, there go 44. So, at a minimum, you are plus 41 frames, right? The ice clone recovers in 44 frames. I don't know if your math is mathing, but 41 frames of safety from this minus 44 frames of recovery leads to Sub-Zero being at worst -3. Okay, so this ice clone goes from being -44 to being -3, which gives you more than enough time to block whatever the fuck the opponent thinks they want to wake up with. And as you saw, this will keep you safe. That's a punish. You see that? So the universal clone setup is fantastic. Right? Now, one drawback, as you've probably noticed, is that it requires me to get a hit confirm and spend meter into that. And if I'm going to be spending meter, I would rather be doing 45% damage plus combos, you feel me, for my meter, rather than doing a measly 300. You feel me? Because look, this is about to do 300. So, this is where you can use your cameo to make the universal clone setup be meter free. Notice I ain't sacrificed no damage, basically. I went from 300 to 298. And my universal clone setup is still safe. And then I can still kill Johnny Cage for being stupid. You see that? So, whatever cameo you choose or that you prefer, figure out a way to get a combo into your universal clone setup. I know Sonya will definitely grant you one. Obviously Serena will. Probably Chameleon as well. You know what I mean? Like, you have the means to do a hit confirm, use your cameo, set up the universal clone, and then block whatever's next. You know what I'm saying? Now here's the thing. A great use of the universal clone setup with cameo is to set up EX clone. Because now you have EX clone, and with this EX clone, you have access to all your shenanigans. Jesus, I start off way too far away. So I'm gonna do this universal clone. Here. Look at that. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Perfectly feasible. And the opponent might block the overhead, but then get hit with the slide, and then the slide carries them into the clone. You see me? Or you do the universal clone into the EX. You know what I'm saying? And then you dash up and do the back throw. Bang! And pop their ass right into this. I mean, it's really up to you. Like, this is an open-ended corner flow situation. You know what I'm saying? But the point of the matter is that Sub-Zero's corner game is greatly enhanced compared to how it was in the very beginning of this game's life. So if you are playing the Sub-Zero character I highly implore you to step your corner game up. Find a way to create a combo that does the most damage and puts the opponent in the corner that does not use clone in it. You know what I'm saying? You want something like this. That way you can set up a clone directly after. You see that? That's what you want. And once you have a clone set up afterwards, learn the muscle memory of how to throw motherfuckers into it. You know, that kind of thing. Because as you'll notice, like, you can do a lot of damage with not that much resource. I spent 1 bar of meter and a little bit of cameo, and I dropped that shit, and it did a lot of damage. So Sub-Zero doesn't need to do a whole lot in order to inflict a lot of pain. And when you corner your opponents and they realize that, hey, you can really tear them up in the corner, that's when that panic is set in. That's when they'll start trying to jump and armor and do other dumb shit to avoid this shit here. You know? That's when they'll start ducking your throws. And once you see they start ducking, then it's like, oh, fantastic. Mid time. Low time. You feel me? Like, you get all kinds of different toys to play with because of what Sub-Zero can do in this corner. And so that's what I recommend that you do. Learn how to corner your opponent. Learn how to use your clone to either refreeze them or to set up free offense. And then do it again until they die. Alright? But with that being said, I appreciate you guys for waiting this long and watching this far into the video. Please feel free to steal, feel free to lab, feel free to sound off in the comments and let me know what you think about this. All right. But with that being said, I'll catch y'all later. Stay froze.